Do you have this? Do you have this?
No.
It must be already.
Recording.
Yeah. All right, we are all set. Perfect. So it is 5:32 p.m. Thursday, Wednesday, January 14th. If you would all please rise for pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. And then Lauren, if you could do a roll call.
Sure. Counselor Timianco.
I'm here.
Counselor Rico. Counselor Nieto.
Here.
Here.
All right, perfect. Moving on to public participation.
There's no one on Zoom.
There's no one on Zoom. Jonathan? No. All right, so no public participation today, so we can move on to item number 4, which is a review of the current town council rules and procedures that was adopted on February 8th, February 2024, I'm guessing.
April 9th.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Don't worry. So yeah, Lauren has a couple suggestions that her and I have spoken about before. And then we could do a comprehensive review of all the rules if you'd like.
Well, I read them through. I got some suggestions, but
Perfect.
So if you guys are okay with that, I will share a screen and just gonna show. There were some items that have come up through public comment. So what I did is I just kind of redlined and marked up your current document, just with ideas that have come up either through public comment or through other meetings that have happened since this document was adopted. So the first item is section 9, inclusion of items on the agenda. There was an item that was added to the agenda after council leadership met last year. And there were some questions on what authority, under what authority that item was added. And so at that time, we discussed that the chair, as the mayor as the chair, can add items to the agenda. And so we had kind of wordsmithed some language that would just allow that the mayor as chairman of the council to add agenda items prior to 24 hours at the start of the meeting, because that is when the agenda would have to be posted for the public.
if we have comments, that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that, but I was just wondering if there can be something added that says that, I mean, the mayor can do that, but he should also, at the time it's done, notify other town council members.
Yeah.
So that we're not, surprised when we walk into the meeting.
Lauren, is that rooted in any kind of state statute, or is that like embedded into Robert's
It's like Robert's
rules?
rules,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
And also just in general, I noticed sometimes where we reference the mayor, it's capitalized, sometimes it isn't.
Yeah, there's another, like, town, I think is another word, so I'll go through it.
Like
Yeah,
haphazardly is capitalized or not, yeah. No, but I think it's good to codify that and just have it written down there, so whoever becomes mayor in the future just knows where the wheelhouse is.
so then we get down to section 12, and I'm just going in chronological order, not in order of importance, just to make it easier. Item 12, we updated the order of the meeting agenda in 2024, and one of the things that was considered was the consent agenda, which were items that could be voted on with one motion, and didn't require multiple motions for the individual items. And we never put it in practice. So obviously you may not want to make a decision on this tonight, but I would say that this is definitely something to consider. Do we want to keep the consent agenda in the order of the meeting? Do we want to get rid of it and put it back to what it you know, was prior to this? Or do we want to add more items to the consent agenda and make the consent agenda encompass more things and maybe don't require a conversation or discussion by the council?
Can you just explain a little, like, what it means? So we don't vote on, if we don't have any issues with, let's say, tax refunds or the minutes.
I think we would vote on both at the same time.
Yeah, so the resolution would be basically a motion and a second to approve the items of the consent agenda.
Okay,
Instead of
okay.
having one motion, or, you know, one resolution for
For
the
the
tax
tax.
refunds, one resolution
For each of
set
them.
of minutes. It would just be one resolution, all encompassing anything on the consent
That would
agenda.
take place at this time.
Yep.
Okay, and if somebody does have an issue, then it would be,
You can still discuss items on the consent agenda. You're not beholden to just approve them. You can still have a
Yeah,
motion and
prior
a
to the
second.
vote, yeah.
And someone can say, I'm fine voting on this, but there's
Typo or
typo
something.
or clerical error in one of the sets of minutes. And so it would be approving the consent agenda with amendments to the
okay.
minutes of whatever.
Okay.
So it would still work the same. It just would be one motion for any of the items on the consent
Okay.
agenda.
Save us maybe 5 minutes.
know,
You know,
well,
yeah.
When we talked about this initially in 2023 into 2024, I think we had proposed like 6 or 7 items on the consent agenda. And then when I got to the town council, they said, the whole of your body said, maybe not this, maybe not this. And so I do think it's definitely more of a philosophical question to answer at the next meeting. Is this working with just these 2 items? Would it be more effective if it encompassed something else? Or is it therefore ineffective and not needed because we're only taking 2 resolutions and moving them down to 1?
I mean,
In theory.
the only other thing that I could possibly see adding to this would be resignations and stuff like that. But then
Yeah.
at the same time too, I feel like it's important to like recognize people who are volunteering for stuff. So I wouldn't want to take that away from them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like tax refunds and minutes are very
Yeah, we
clerical, you know, yeah. So.
Okay.
I do have a question. In the couple of meetings that I've attended thus far, one of the things that I've noticed is we do the Pledge of Allegiance, a roll call, and when we get to the part of public participation, some of what I think about are how do you know, or do we have accommodations for individuals that maybe are hearing impaired or are visually impaired, or someone that even comes in? How do you accommodate that, and where would that fit in the order of minutes for the agenda? Do you ask that question anywhere at any point in time?
I guess not. I don't think we
Yeah.
have anything set in place.
When we,
I mean,
we
we do have
advertise,
the-
we
yeah.
advertise, don't we put something like if you need accommodations?
Yes.
Mhm.
There's usually something at the bottom of the agenda,
Yeah.
like a catch-all, like if
I'd
you
have to
require
refer back.
accommodations. But we don't say anything
Mhm.
at the meeting itself. We do have those hearing boosters in the
Mhm.
closet that people can use if they need it. But yeah, that's an interesting thought
Mhm.
as to whether or not you want to make it a specific call out at the beginning of the meeting, like we
Mhm.
want to be inclusive of everybody.
Mhm.
And if anyone has any.
Yeah,
accommodation or
I've just
need,
wondered, you know,
Yeah.
when, you know, is anyone, you know, interested in participating, and you've got the, you know, the caller, and you could tell a call or 2 or 3. And I'm thinking, well, how, you know, what if the individual is mute, hearing impaired, or how do you engage that individual? It's just a question that's popped
Yeah.
into my mind once or
Yeah.
twice.
I'm gonna just give us a little note here, just
Mm-hmm.
to consider that.
Okay. Just, you know,
Yeah.
just to be prepared.
Yeah, yeah, because you know, we have things for those who are like audio impaired. I'm just thinking about people who like can't speak. That's like what I'm trying to brainstorm. We can come back to it though, but that is good to
Yeah.
bring up. Yeah,
Mm.
just have
I
something
mean,
available
your
to them.
wheelchair
Yeah.
bound, I mean, you're
Yeah.
hearing, you know,
That makes
obviously
sense.
you can,
I
that,
can
that's,
also
an-
look and see like if other towns, if there's a
Right.
good example of another
Yeah.
town that's doing something, and you know, I can reach out to.
Yeah.
I mean, we have it for voting. You
Yeah,
walk into, you know,
Even to have like, I don't know, like a keyboard and they can like type
Mhm.
out what they want to say or something like
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna skip over, my item 13, I think you were done with that. I think this is where it gets a little more, I think, remember that. The numbers are a little bit different.
Yeah, ours is public participation on ours.
So going down to the public participation. This is an item that has come up several times since the 2024 revision about the written or email communication to the town council and how you want to process feed with whether that, how it gets into the record, whether it's just a email or a letter attached to the minutes after the fact, or whether it's read in. So I know this comes up, I feel like this comes up.
Came up
every-
yesterday.
Yeah, yeah.
Every
yes,
meeting, every
yeah.
other meeting. I know that we spoke about it in the 23-24 era of going through this document. So I'm not sure what thoughts anyone has, but when this came up the first time, and Rose Lyons had emailed me and Jamie, this was kind of the language that Jamie and I said, well, let's throw this at the wall, right? The town manager shall provide a summary of the written correspondence received with the aforementioned timeframe during the town council meetings, and a copy shall be included in this. But since we've kind of thrown that in the wall, I do think there has been more of a push from members of the public to have it read. Maybe not the person submitting it, but other
Yeah.
people at the meeting saying, don't just tell me you have a letter, read me the letter.
Mhm.
I just want to give a little bit of historical
Yeah.
perspective here. Because prior to that, we did read the person's name, address, and the whole
Yeah.
content of the letter. And again, it was just frustration and inconvenience. I don't mind if we go back to that. But at times when there's a contentious issue, particularly, it was the budget for the Board of Ed. They went out and sent a blast email
Yeah.
to every parent of every school. We got, and so it's not, the heartfelt thing about, well, people take the time to
It
write a
was like a
letter.
form
No,
letter.
it was a freaking
Yeah.
form letter.
I remember that.
And so they were like, we went around the table
50
for
letters.
about a half an hour reading the same freaking letter. And to me, that doesn't show thought or whatever. So we just said, and then it also happened something with the town, when they were gonna build the Save Mill Pond. The same thing, Bill DeMayo went out and, did a blast email to all the to the Parks and Rec people. And it was the same thing. It was form letters, no thought put into it, whatever. So then one of the discussions was maybe as an alternative would say, if there's a controversial issue, okay, we received 50 letters in favor of, the pool, or whatever, or 45 letters. And then, I don't know, it's just, it's hard to, I know it has to be one size fit all, but, unless, then another idea that came up is said, well, if there's 10 or less letters, then read them in. But if there's more than 10, then we do something. I mean, I
Like
don't
a
know.
See, it-
summary and then reference.
Yeah, in my mind, I feel like if we get 2 or more about the same topic, then we could just say, we received 2 letters from so-and-so, and then maybe Jonathan can give like a nice synopsis of like the general tone.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, we don't get too many, like when something, important pops up.
Yeah.
So if we get like 1, I feel like if we get 1, then sure, let's read it,
Mhm.
just 1. But then if we get more than 1, then we can just kind of batch it, give the tone, and then we could attach to the minutes. I feel like
Yeah,
that's like where my head's at with it.
I
And
also
the
feel like
question
we
of-
want the language that like letters,
Or correspondence, whatever it might
yeah,
be.
I just feel like too, like correspondence with like profanities, it's like will not be read to the record. You know what I mean? Like something, because I would need for us to have this policy and if somebody sends something in.
Didn't we say something? Isn't there something in there that covers that?
Is that like a free speech issue though?
No,
Does-
no.
No,
We say something about it.
In verbal.
Cause like someone could come up to public participation and start swearing If-
No, we have language that allows the,
I know, but
That's right,
is there like
yeah.
a legal backing
Number
to stop them
13,
from doing that? Is
written
that just more like
communication.
the rules we're making up, you know what I mean?
Research.
I'm looking at the old one because I didn't have my computer, so I had
That's
to
okay.
reference my.
Yeah, it doesn't specifically
the-
say, it says impugning or alleging an improper.
Mhm.
And it says should avoid, right? It doesn't say you can't, you know, because again, yeah, it's a First Amendment thing, like. We don't want to show up on like TikTok, with some guy freaking out on us, yeah, we don't want that attention, you know. I mean, Jonathan could just say expletive.
Yeah.
Just, you know,
Well, there's also a double standard. like to speak,
yeah, yeah,
That if you make public comment at the dais, like what you say is not going to be recorded word for word. This could be summarized in 3 sentences, even if you talk for 4 minutes. Whereas if you submit a written thing, then you get everything. that's
Go on and
recorded.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And understand. And so if you do use an expletive, for example, in violent, Mayor Trister might, shush you, but the way that Susan's gonna record it is she's not gonna.
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
not for that. Yeah, it makes sense. So then, yeah, maybe we just put like kind of like a caveat where it's like any communications that feature expletive language will just have a
Offensive
synopsis read or
yeah.
something like that. Yeah,
Mhm.
offensive or
And
yeah,
reference the number of correspondence or letters.
yeah.
Or written material received.
I think that's fair
And
enough.
would you cite the last name or the names of,
I think
yeah,
that's because people seem to kind of, again, what Rose said last night is, if people took the time, they want to,
have their name recorded?
yeah,
Yeah, have
they
it,
took
yeah.
they took a stand, you know.
Yeah,
I think that's fair enough. I don't think we need to put people's
no,
addresses out.
no,
there.
no, no.
I would say
Yeah.
that
Just
the
the-
count of the letters and then maybe H. Nieves and leave it there.
Right, 25 people were in favor of the Board of Ed budget, and then the following names are.
Yep.
well, and there is nothing stopping you from attaching them to the minute.
Yeah, yeah,
I
that,
think
yeah,
they should.
yeah, that should just, they
So
should just be
people will be
there.
able to see it in public record after.
Yeah. But do we want a number of, I think 1 is too little. I think we have the, I don't know,
Like a
5 or
cutoff.
10. Yeah, I don't know if we,
I mean, I'm cool with 5. I want to say it's
In the
very
interest of
rare that
time.
we get more than 1 or 2 anyways.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I'm cool with 5. I mean,
what if they're on different topics and we get 10? I don't know.
yeah, that's where it gets into like the nitty of it all.
But I think this issue speaks to what you're saying, Gail. If it's like a form letter and you get 50 of them.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, obviously you've read them and you can see it's a form letter
Right.
with different names on it. Versus you get, 20 letters and they're,
Somebody. took
kind of
the
different. That's a
time.
little bit different. So
should we put, shall provide a summary of personal written correspondence? And that way we can kind of avoid those blanket,
No, because
Form
people are gonna
letters.
say, oh, no, I did this myself. Nobody told me to do this.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
hard.
but then you could put in parentheses for further details, see attached.
Yeah, I mean, I think they should be attached to the minute.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
you're not discarding the
Right.
correspondence, but it's there. It's just in the interest of time.
Do you think we should put like a word limit to it too? Like, what if someone was to come in with like a 10-page letter on something? And then we would just have to read all 10 pages?
Well, you give the
Yeah.
public 4 minutes
Yeah.
speaking time.
Yeah, so we
You know?
limit people's talking here, so like maybe I do not know what a good word count would be, to be honest, like,
Yeah, that would be,
I don't know how many words like on average fit in like a page on like Word or something like that, but I'm guessing it's like 1,000 or plus. Yeah.
Full page, single page, you get 2 pages.
Mm.
Like we could look more into that, but I think maybe that wouldn't be bad language either, just to avoid, someone who just like goes off and they're just talking about God knows what.
That makes something like, I'll do a little research for the next meeting too, and just kind of see if there's some ideas that can throw out to you.
Not to give you more work, Jonathan, have you have to read all this stuff out, but
I mean,
Oh.
knock on wood.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Well, I mean, these are letters that come to the town council, that email address.
Yeah,
And or to us individually,
Mhm.
and then we
You guys go on to-
disseminate it.
Yeah.
Right. The, well, since we're on that, under public participation, where you say written communications, either by letter or email, must adhere to the same requirements as public. Shall identify by name and address, and if they are representing a group, and must request inclusion in the minutes of the town council. But what if somebody doesn't
And so that-
want to be included,
Yeah,
like
and-
last night?
yeah,
I think you could say something, if the writer wants their communication to be included in the public record, they must request inclusion or something. Because they can still write to us and say, I don't want it, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Feel like last
Yeah,
night.
like last
Yeah,
it
and that
doesn't-
falls on us
yeah.
too, to like ask, like
Yeah.
if they don't say yes or no, like, yeah, we definitely need to like verify with them.
So the only time, so if they want it included in the public record, they must, but they can still write to us. And,
And so note in your written correspondence.
Right.
That way, we know.
Jonathan, do you have any thoughts on this?
I do, but I, not,
Okay.
no, I don't.
Okay.
I think that was the end of like the things that have come up, except there was one more thing that came up. Over the weekend, Rose emailed, and then she also said something last night about the order of the agenda. So she is suggesting that there is a public comment period following the awards or proclamations. So that, and I will say, like, you all tend to allow that.
Yeah, we usually do that, yeah.
Yeah, you kind of like throw it out there, but it's not,
it used to be part of the ceremony.
yeah.
And John is now trying to, informally incorporate it, but I think it's a good
Correct. So she
idea.
just said, do you want to codify it in your order of the agenda, that if there is an award or proclamation, the next item is public comment on the award. or
Because a lot of people leave before, if we wait till the real public
Exactly.
participation, the
That's
people who
exactly.
came leave.
People, they don't get to say the nice thing they
Right.
want to say about the
Mhm.
person who's been.
Right.
Yeah, that can't hurt.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
That's fine.
And again, put a little time limit.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Lauren, didn't we talk about adding language about departments in their like grant like process, like going,
Yeah, so that is my new item 13, which I
Okay.
will send out this red line document when I've kind of gone through what we talk about tonight and give me a little bit better language.
I
Yes.
had it in here.
but maybe
Where
not.
do I have it? Acceptance of grant awards were,
I think it was sent out
Yeah,
the first round, like
Oh,
the first
okay.
email.
Oh.
was-
yeah. So that would be like, in theory, new item 13.
Mhm.
Items requiring town council consideration. And so this is something that's come up since I've, worked here 3 years. What do we bring to the council? Does this need to go to council? What about this? Is the town manager to sign this or does it go to council first? And so codifying this for staff in some way, shape or form, I think would be really helpful and maintain consistency, no matter who is, me or Jonathan in the future. It would give that clarity to department heads and to the town manager as to what we are doing, but, as staff, what's our authority as staff, and then what items require you to consider before we can move forward with them. So the big things are donations, contract awards for RFPs and bids, and then grant awards, whether that means that we are coming to you before we apply for the grant or after the grant has been awarded, but before we officially accept it. So this is just draft language, again, kind of throwing some draft language at you. This is based on rules and procedures document from the last town that I worked in, but I obviously changed it for the dollar amounts and limits that made more sense for the town of Newington. And it's just really something for you guys to consider, I think. Take it home, read it, think about it, unless you have comments tonight, we can go over it tonight too. But I do think that this would be really helpful to both the council and to staff to have some of these items clarified as to what we have the authority to do on a day-to-day basis as operational managers.
I actually had a comment on that, with the grant thing. I think it's a good, I agree with that bullet, but also, I think any grant that the town, and I know that, Rose is one of them, but other, members of the public had said, it's nice to know,
Yeah,
whether we have to match it or not. It's just nice to know
Yeah.
that we applied for a grant and we got it accepted. So it's like all grants,
just accepting the grant awards, period.
yeah, should be, the town council could be notified of any grant awards or,
Oh, yeah, so maybe we could keep in this and then say like grant awards that do not meet this requirement should still be.
yeah, town council
Yeah.
should be notified of.
Included in like the informational item
Yeah.
section of the
Yeah.
meeting or something like that.
With
Yeah.
a caveat though, like, there are a lot of grants that get automatic, so like, rotated, for example.
So excluding like,
Oh.
excluding reoccurring grants.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Or
yeah,
just,
excluding, yeah.
Yeah. I do have thoughts on like the first bullet, right? Like donations of goods, services, or monies in excess of like $10,000. So like what comes to mind is like our Parks Department and like Human Services usually get large sums of donations for whatever event, whether it's like the extravaganza or whatnot. So
Yep.
would this stop them from accepting that donation, or do they just need to notify us of it?
So that's kind of the question for you all to consider. Do you want to approve the donation or do you want to be notified of the donation?
Hmm.
And I will just say in Madison, our threshold was like $2,000. Anything above $2,000 required board of selectmen approval. The idea being that they wanted the public to be aware of who is donating so that it kept everyone honest about like potential deals that would be made in the future, if that makes sense.
I get that. What do you guys think about that? Like a top.
There's no protocol or regulation right now. They receive them and
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
nothing, and I know like, places like Saputo's and like a whole bunch of like local stuff, like we'll give to Parks and Rec pretty
Yeah.
constantly.
Mhm.
Couple game signs later, bleachers later, so.
I think it also gives the ability for the council to really applaud our partners in the community that are helping to support things like the extravaganza
Yeah.
or
Mhm.
the Human Services Department, Senior Center, we have.
There'd be an opportunity though, if an organization or a person did not want to be
If
recognized,
they want to remain anonymous,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that should be.
Yeah.
Somehow, but that couldn't be put in there because otherwise future councils might think that, hey, we didn't hear about this. and-
Be nice to know what's coming in and.
Yeah, see, I
I mean,
only
not that you
towards
have
like
to
being
approve it,
notified.
but I think
Yeah,
maybe big excessive amounts, you, I think would want to be aware of it.
I just can't
You
envision
don't
my
want a
mind where we'd
conflict.
be like, no, we don't want.
No,
any
no, no,
donation,
no,
right?
no,
Yeah,
No,
so
but
I
I
don't
can
see.
envision people who just want to remain anonymous.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, maybe just a notification
Yeah.
of like a donation of some kind.
Notify the council, these are the donations that came in,
Mhm.
this month or
Yeah.
in the last
used
two,
to-
3 months.
Or I think we used to be notified of outstanding grant applications. There used to be a report, like quarterly.
Grant applications. Like a report.
Yeah, like quarterly, the status of
Certainly do a
grants.
Quarterly report on like status.
Yeah.
Like Sonia can provide that.
Yeah. Okay.
And I do like the RP contract too, especially if there's like a reoccurring charge for the town. I think that's something that we should be notified of and looked into. I think that just makes
Mhm.
sense.
Or you mean for the award of an RFP?
Or like a grant or something like that, yeah, anything, I don't think I meant RFP, but like if we apply for a grant that then subsequently costs the town like a recurring charge of some
Well,
kind.
certainly, I think acceptance of a grant award and then acknowledgement of what the match, that's important.
Oh, yeah.
So you know what
Budget.
obligation.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I would also say, I think what maybe what Lauren's getting at, I think this is the key thing, is what is the authority of the town manager to approve contracts, to accept, whether it's just approve contracts, period, working with the purchasing manager independently, or at what point does it need to go to council for their. So I think that's a key kind of clarifying dollar thresholds that we want to put in
Exactly.
place. Is there, does it vary for RFP versus like a bid? If we're, sometimes you have a bid for like road construction, we use the same contract, so that's a good example of like, it's a massive amount. But it's very straightforward, the bidding process is just low bidder unless there's some weird thing. So that somehow like, yes, the amount might be millions of dollars, but it's a very black and white decision. Whereas with an RFP, it is maybe not such a black decision. But at the same time, you don't want the RFP to be viewed as a political decision either. So you're kind of balancing all these different things. I think I think that's, to me, that's the bread and butter of kind of where I always get a little lost. When can I sign my name and when do I need?
Exactly. And I will say, as far as bids and RFPs go, looking back at like the last year, right? The big bids that we've done have been for Wallace, which you all approved because the state requires it. The big RFPs have been for insurance services, whether that was for the broker for liability on the property, or whether that was the broker for the benefits. And both of those also came to you because those are required for charter. So we're bringing some stuff to you, but we're not bringing everything. And so the language that we had discussed was basically it requires a formal process to go through RFP or bid. It would come to you for approval, and if it didn't, then the town manager can approve that. And by formal process, that means anything that we get on state contract or purchasing consortium, which has already been vetted through a bid process, either through the state or through one of the 8 purchasing consortiums that we use, that would not come to you for approval. That did not go through a formal process, even though, like Jonathan said, the amount could be high. A lot of our road work we do through the state bid process, so we don't go out to bid on that. And so that would all be things that Jonathan can sign without coming to you for approval, but would then notify you like, hey, these are the things, like he does in his update. But anything that went through a formal process would require approval. So I'm just trying to think of some things that went through a formal process and did not come to you in the last, since I've been here. And there haven't been that many, but one of them would be the HVAC and the roof work at the police department. The EOC is one. So those are items that maybe you would want in the future to come to you before we sign that. And so that's really kind of picking whatever is the threshold or the mechanism that allows the town manager to sign and to report back to you versus that requires a vote with a 9 of you.
I think I'm getting my hats from different roles mixed up here. We don't automatically have to choose the lowest bidder, correct?
We have a purchasing, sorry.
Yeah.
We have a purchasing policy that says we, in all cases where we can, we will go with the lowest qualified bidder. So that word qualified is an important
It's
word
key.
because the lowest bidder may have missed something, right?
Right.
So we don't necessarily have to go. with
But
the
you have to
lowest
really
dollar
justify
amount.
why.
We have to go with the lowest person who actually answered the bid or the RFP and has the lowest dollar.
Okay, so that's because the lowest is not always the best.
Correct.
But are there any instances where the RFP process and going out to bid and whatever, the bidding process, oh God, should not be made public? in terms of,
No,
they submit,
It's an
no?
internal process, right?
no, I mean, that's,
Sense.
yeah, no, and everything that I have, all my bid files are open for you and, yeah.
Cause I just worry about, sitting at a council meeting and somebody, saying, well, who were the bidders and whatever, and then, the naming the vendors out loud to, whatever, and saying, well, I don't know. It would have to, I just think if we do it, it has to be communicated delicately.
Well, I wouldn't be so concerned about that. We have bid tabulation sheets that we do as we open bids, and we have a spreadsheet that says
Mhm.
this company responded, here's their address, here's the amount.
Okay.
And those bid tabulation sheets go on the website and they get FOIA'd every 3 days.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's
So,
public info.
yeah, it's
public
all, that is
info, I
all
feel like,
public-
yeah.
public information.
My only question had to do with how many eyes, how many individuals look at the RFPs that do come in, and review them, and before you get to that stage where okay, the most and best qualified party is the one that's gonna get this bid. So,
So it really depends on what the services are. So for
Mhm.
instance, with the two insurance RFPs that we did in the last year, those not only went through me and Janet, or
Mhm.
just me when it came to the liability, audit property, the commercial lines. Those also went to two different committees. So we have a standing insurance committee that
Mhm.
reviewed and interviewed all three firms for the commercial property and liability. And then we also have a committee, a ben assurance and benefits committee that interviewed and vetted the people that responded to be our insurance broker.
mhm,
So there's, those they get vetted very well. When we're talking about, let's say, the EOC or the police department, roof and HVAC work that went out to bid in the last year and a half or so, those not only went through myself, the facilities director and the operations manager, but also the architects that we hired to help us write the
Mhm.
documents and stuff. So there usually is a team that goes through it and reviews it all. It's not generally just me. It's usually the department head involved. So there's a process to go through it and interview the people.
I asked because in my past career with judicial, there were RFPs that we used to have to put out
Mhm.
every year for services to service our clientele population. And that was a rigorous process. It was an arduous process, and there were a lot of checks and balances. So I'm sure that the process here is
Yeah.
similar.
In reading through it, we don't necessarily need to have like a certain dollar amount for any like of this, right? Like as far as like a bid or anything like that, but the way I'm reading it sounds pretty, like, I think it looks pretty okay the way it is. I don't think we need to like put like a certain dollar limit on any particular one item. I don't know if you guys feel the same or not, but like the donations make sense, but like as far as like the big contract or an RFP that goes out, like the way it's written, I feel like it's pretty straightforward as to like what is with it would be within the town manager's purview and what would be within ours. I think putting a dollar amount on either one of them is tough because, like had Jonathan said, some things are massively expensive but are super common, and then others are probably in the opposite spectrum.
We're really just being notified, reported to the town.
Yeah.
And we do hire, like, Lauren and Jonathan, I mean, we have to, a certain amount of trust, that's their job.
Yeah, yeah.
Certainly a lot more than, no, certainly me or some of the other people at this table. So, yeah.
You have to have a comfort level.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what they're doing.
Can we trust you guys?
I appreciate that.
Okay, yeah, so, yeah, I mean, I like it. I think it gives us like a little bit more oversight, which I think is nice.
Information.
Yeah.
And ideally would
Just gotta know what's
make the
going on.
day-to-day a little faster for you guys in the town manager's office. So, you don't have to worry about, can I do this? Can I not do this? Am I gonna get in trouble? I think it's good. Yes, love that.
So those were the items that have come up. Then this document was provided since 2024. And I know that we do kind of have a time limit because of room getting released.
Yes,
7.
yeah.
7, yep. So are there any other items that you all want to review tonight?
Can I just put some of the comments on page? Okay, under 10, item 10, special meeting. And maybe I just forget what we talked about before. It says the first public participation shall be limited to those subjects listed on the agenda. Why only the first? How come not the
So
second?
this came up at the 2023 and 2024 review. The old document was that both public participation items were limited to the items on the agenda.
Of a special
of a
meeting,
special meeting,
right?
correct. And we had an example, maybe a week or two into this process before, where there was a special meeting. And then there was a council meeting following, and someone tried to do public comment on the other meeting.
Hmm.
And they were politely told that they couldn't. And so we discussed it in the former subcommittee that, you know, the public maybe can only come out at certain times. Maybe that was the only time that person could attend, and they couldn't stay for the 7 o'clock meeting. And so would we allow public comment on items that were not on the agenda for one of the public participations? And we said the second public participation item, because the first one, we wanted to really be tailored to what was on the agenda before you guys voted on the items on the agenda. Whereas at the end, people can still give public comment, but you've already technically, in theory, voted on the items anyways. So allowing that public comment to be open to in general kind of made a little bit more sense.
Okay.
But that, that was something you guys just changed in the 2024. You can consider it again.
I'm okay with it. I really don't mind people like talking about whatever they want, like after we vote. But
Just
Yeah.
it seemed inconsistent to me, but I think you're right. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not gonna make a big deal out of it. So keep it. Then, what else? Under item 15. Unless waived by an affirmative vote of 2/3, no vote shall be taken on an agenda item under, I'll take quote, consideration of new business, put an end quote there. And then I found it confusing, the next, in this instance, public participation shall be automatically allowed during the discussion of the new business. But we're talking about unless waived, no vote shall be taken. And then we're saying, well, in this instance, public participation shall be automatically allowed. It's just, if the vote is taken, then public participation will be allowed. But if no vote is taken, then there's no need for, there's no public participation. It's just confusing.
so maybe like in an instance where the waive
Yeah, like,
is in the affirmative
Yeah.
and then continue on.
Maybe
just
instead of-
clarifying. Yeah,
in this instance, just put if waived, public participation
Yeah.
shall be automatically.
that just look, that's a good catch. That's clarified.
I have just one last comment. In 16 executive session, and it came up last night. John was ill and he was nice enough to Zoom in, but then for the executive session,
He was
They
kicked
forgot
off,
to-
yeah.
tap him in to the meeting. And so should some reference be made here? Because what it says is when a counselor attends an executive session virtually. So,
Well, that was just a function, that was
Yeah.
like kind of a staff mistake.
okay.
They should have set up a separate meeting,
Mhm.
that would have allowed him to run the meeting, and we just.
It was last
'Cause
minute.
he was- Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it
that
was-
was, we just learned of it. That's how we do it that way.
Yeah. He didn't miss much, he's fine. He, not related, but he's like, you guys gotta tell me what happened. I said, we can't. Um, Anything else? Ella?
No, that's it. I'm looking at what I want stuff. and-
Yeah, I read through it and I thought that I didn't see anything. I'm not like a big literature person, so I don't see like
Yeah.
the small grammatical stuff, but I didn't see anything that I didn't think was okay from the last time that we did this.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty recent.
Yeah,
It's the first time for me.
it's first time for,
Yeah,
yeah.
so-
But I do like the changes there. I do, we'll have some time between now and next session. So if we have thoughts on what we want to do as far as like the correspondence that we get, we could definitely talk about them again.
Yeah, that's gonna be the big one.
Yeah, that's gonna be the big thing. I just want to do something that is conducive for everybody and just works out, but also at the same time, doesn't put us like in a vice where someone could like abuse it, or we're here for 45 minutes,
Right,
just
reading
not
minute.
getting work done, yeah.
Yeah. And again, I can do a little research, see if another town has a good model that we can look at and kind of tailor it to the needs of the town. Do we want to set the next meeting while we're all together?
Yeah, I'm down to do that. No one's got any vacations coming up, right? I'm relatively free the first 2 weekends of February, I believe. Not weekends, first 2
I was gonna
weeks.
say,
Yeah, no.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
I,
Or we could hold off
you
if
know,
you
I'm
just need
old
time.
school and
Yeah,
got my calendar, but, most of the meetings, because you guys don't get it, being in the
yeah,
minority.
I know, yeah, your
You got
schedule is a
freaking
lot
meetings every
tighter.
night. But starting like at 5 or 5, because usually most of the other meetings start like at 6:30
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
7, so,
Yeah, 5 o'clock start time is great for me, because it means I'm just
yeah.
kind of hanging.
Keep going,
For a
yeah.
Yeah.
while longer, but then I get home and it will be the time
Right.
to get to do my kids and that's.
No,
Do you
5
wanna just
o'clock is-
email some dates that work for you?
Yeah.
So that way you
okay.
can take a look and then, yeah, we can just follow
And
up
then
in a
we'll
couple
just,
days.
yeah, figure it out. Okay.
All right, cool. All right, good job. Oh, not quite yet. Moving on to number 5, public participation. No. Tell them outside that. No one online
No
still?
one online.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so, we'll move on. I'll entertain a moment to adjourn.
I-
Second, motion second, perfect. All right, all those in favor?
Uh,
All right,